Hey folks, Captain Chris Meyer, Central Florida Sight Fishing Charters. I'm going to talk to you today about what kind of reel or what style of reel I think you should get. And hands down, without a doubt, I believe spinning reels are your best choice. And I mean, some people call them open-faced. That's what I mean by spinning reel. It's this type of reel where you flip the bail up, you have complete access to all your line, as opposed to the spin caster, which has a cover over it, usually a button on the bottom, and the line comes out a hole in the top. Those are fine for some freshwater situations, but for all around, for big fish, small fish, the spinning reel is going to be your best choice, and I'm here to tell you why I think so. Ask everybody that comes on my boat that's a bait cast angler why they use it, so I get their feedback. I've tried to do a lot of internet research to figure out why people use it, because I don't see any advantages of one over the other. Is everything you can do with a bait caster, I could do with this. But I can do more things with this spinning reel that the bait cast guys can't. And what I found by asking people is more times than not, the reason they use the bait caster is because that's what they were brought up with. That's the only thing they've ever used, and they just haven't ever tried anything different. And when I give them some spinning tackle, I show them the advantages, they really can't argue that there is advantages to the spinning reel. Now, one of the fun things that I like about the spinning reels has nothing to do with performance or catching fish or casting, but I get that cool drag sound when I hook a big fish, which the bait cast guy, it's totally silent when he's hooking fish. So I'm going to go over real quick what the reasons I hear are why you should use one over the other. One of the old reasons for not using bait casters, spin reels, was if you reeled against the drag, or if you used a lure with like a spoon or a spinner that was spinning up your line. When you pop open your bail, all the coils would come off in a big tangle. That was absolutely true. Today, if you're having that problem, that's because you're using mono or fluorocarbon line on your reel, and that's what you deserve to get, because you should be using braid, and you will never ever have that problem again. Never once have I ever flipped the bail open on this and had line come off in coils since I started using braid. It's a whole nother topic why you should use braid over mono. Put the braid on, that argument goes out the window. Now some guys can use braid on their bait casters if they're good and they're careful. However, you can get some horrific backlash knots in here that you're probably not going to get out. The guy who gets the knots in the spinning reel, more times than not, you can get them out. Here I don't have a lot of access, and by bait casters, the type of reel I'm talking about, a closed face, it's open face, it lines the line from side to side. It's a bait casting reel. Now you can spend a lot of money on these with tons of different magnets that try to get rid of the backlash, but the main disadvantage I see for this reel is you cannot cast light lures with any distance or accuracy, and when you have to throw hard into a wind, you're going to constantly get backlashes, or you're going to be not throwing very far. With the spinning reel, I never ever have that problem. I can throw a 32nd ounce lure on this rig right here. I can throw a 1 ounce lure on this rig right here, and everything in between, and I can throw it with complete accuracy. Another thing I ran across quite a bit, why people like this bait caster is, well, they throw up against shores, or throwing up against docks, or throwing up against lily pads, throwing up somewhere where accuracy is extremely important, and you don't want it going past your target. And they said, well, with spinning tackle, it takes you 3 or 4 casts to figure out the correct distance, and if you miss in those first couple, you're going to go up in the bushes and the trees, whatever, lose it. With a bait caster, they can see as it's in the air, put their thumb on it. So as that thing's flying through the air, they can just clamp down with their thumb on here and stop it. Absolutely correct. That's a good thing to do if you're using a bait caster. If you check out my reel on how to cast this, video on how to cast the spinning reel, you'll see that we have a break. It's called our index finger. So as this line peels off this spool, I start my cast by flipping up my bail. My fingers here is holding the line. As I let my finger off, the line comes off the top. If I put my finger back in this position and stop the line, it stops the lure. It's an instant break. I do it every single cast, whether I'm throwing to structure or not. It's just a habit. It's a good habit to have, so that when you need to stop it from going somewhere, here's my break. Every cast I'm used to doing that. It pulls my line tight. I always can set the hook right away because I have a tight line. So we have breaks that we can use on the spinning reels. So we're equal there. It's not an advantage. Another advantage I heard is, while I'm casting really short, pitching the stuff, flipping the stuff, trying to hit really close targets. check out one of my latest videos on checking out your short game with a spinning reel. I show you how most of the fish I catch on the flats, or at least a good percentage of them, are within 25, 30, sometimes 10, 15 feet of the boat. You can flip to them, you can pitch to them. It's a little underhand flick. You can be extremely accurate. You can put it this close to fish. You can put it exactly, you can put it in a Dixie cup if you want to, if you practice. It's all about practice. So you can do that with both reels. So again, there's not an advantage there. Some people think the revolving spool that are for big fish. I have some big spinning reels where I catch huge tarpon on, kingfish, cobia, huge jack crevalle, a lot of different big fish. I don't hesitate to use it. It works just as good for 150-pound tarpon as it does for the smallest bluegill. So we can do everything with this spinning reel the Baitcast guy can do. We can do a few things more. So why would you want to give up those advantages when you might need to fish in the wind, or you might need to cast something small and light? We can do it all with this reel. So if you haven't tried one, or if you're just now trying to decide what kind of reel to select, try yourself a spinning reel. Check out my other videos on how to operate, how to cast this thing. With a little practice, you'll be catching a lot of fish as well. For Central Florida Sight Fishing Charters, this is Captain Chris Myers.